Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, hope your Sunday has been going well for you. I'm starting my show feeling woozy, little nauseated, and very dizzy. I was just contacted by some local tree spirits, and they said, "This is how we're feeling. Can you help us?" And they gave me this energy, and I'm like, whoa. And it dawned on me that even though we created a healing grid around the planet for all of humanity, I had to ask that God include the healing grid now to also encompass the plants and the animals and the rocks and things, because they are even more confused than humanity is. I mean, it's like we're already going through this insanity of ascension, and everything has to ascend with us. Everything that has a consciousness, even if it's a very, very subtle, low, barely conscious consciousness, like a rock, everything's ascending. So I'm going to put the message out there that you guys help your local plants, trees, and rocks and things. Just send out love and light to everything, not just everyone. Animals are a little confused at this time too. So that's just the way it is. I've been very, very sleepy today. Again, with the sudden onset of power naps out of nowhere. Everything feels good. I feel great. Everything's fine. And all of a sudden, it's just like almost like a bout of narcolepsy. 1 minute I'm fine. Next minute, just snoring away. It's very weird. I know it's only because I'm getting downloads. You guys are probably also getting this. Downloads. Do you feel sleepy out of nowhere lately? Amber White reported this morning that a lot of people are going to start to have intestinal and bowel issues for a couple days. And that has to do with having confidence in oneself and identity, how you're identifying who you are. And if you've ever had an identity crisis, you might be experiencing a higher octave of that this week. So be aware of it. Watch out for it. A lot of people are still having things to do with the head, like dizziness and tinnitus. A lot of headaches. I'm having mild, not really pain, but it's almost like a headache, but it's more of a pressure. A head pressure. So you have to be aware and give into it. Like, just accept it, drink water, put a nice cold cloth on your head. Remember what Edgar Cayce said the other night when I channeled the channelers. Put some mint tea on a nice washcloth. You can make it hot or cold, whatever your choice is, what your preference is, depending on the temperature where you live. That will help. Not only will it cleanse your aura, but it might calm some inflammation in your head. But your third eyes are coming online. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff, guys. I'm excited about all the changes, but right now I'm feeling really... I feel like my chakras are spinning in a new way. It might be my Merkaba spinning faster than normal. I've had bouts of feeling like I'm lifting up off the couch or my bed or wherever I'm at, lifting off the ground feeling. Even though I'm not physically lifting, I feel like I am. And that's just all a part of it. Oh, Spirit is telling me right now. See, I'm very sleepy. See, I'm already trying not to yawn on the show. I'm not bored. It's just oxygen. Lack of oxygen. I don't know. I am at a very high elevation, but I don't know. I feel real. Ooh, I am going to have to take a break in a minute. But a Spirit did just tell me people might be having pressure, blood pressure. Watch your salt intake. Keep your electrolytes balanced. A little bit of baking soda and water is not going to hurt you at this time. Magnesium too. Take your minerals and B vitamins. And to much lesser extent, C vitamins. Also, I told you guys I was craving Jell-O. And all the stuff I just told you, by the way, God is telling me to put that out there right now completely to the collective whole. So, I've been craving Jell-O, and I'm like, maybe this isn't a good thing. I don't know. I've been going with it for about a week to 2 weeks now. And I looked it up, and it turns out that gelatin can actually cure diabetes. Has been used for like over 100 years to reverse diabetes because of the protein in it. And it has amino acids that regular meat or eggs or fish does not. And especially if you're vegetarian, it has amino acids that could help you. You might be missing these. So besides growing hair and improving skin and nails, it puts collagen back into your system. So improves your looks. Gets rid of wrinkles and all that. So woohoo! I was on prednisone for a week because I was having problems breathing. So for me, I was just using the Jell-O to coat my stomach. But I've been craving it. Like, I feel like I'm going to die if I don't have it every day. It's a very weird feeling. And I know in the past, when I've had cravings like this, I just go for it. I'm not pregnant unless it's with an alien baby. I don't think I'm pregnant with an alien baby. Well, if I am, at least I won't have to raise it. They'll just abduct me when the time comes, and I'll be thinner the next day. Okay. Well, I am going to take a quick break, and when I come back, tonight's topic is types of magic. A lot of people are coming into their power lately. They are realizing that they are attracted to magic in a way that they weren't before. I know for me it is. I've been meditating, and my God, I discovered that I have hereditary magic in like 5 family lines. I'm adopted, so, there's like 8 potential family lines. And I think it's like 5 or 6 family lines. I discovered that there is hereditary magic, but the lines were broken when my parents and grandparents decided to take like a Christian path. And so now I'm trying to restore the hereditary magic to my lines by now connecting to my ancestors. And when I started to do that, all forms of manners of creatures from the spirit world have approached me. And they're so excited. It's almost like we're opening up the new Albion by going into the 5th dimension. And as we move up farther into the 5th dimension, we are all, hereditary or no, we are all going to be having magical abilities. And so everyone is getting telepathy. That's just a given. It's your God-given right to have magic and power like this. And as we go up into the 5th dimension, we're dropping our shadow selves because that's the dualistic nature of our personalities on the 3rd D level. So now that we're moving up to the 5th dimension, we're becoming holistic. We're becoming whole. Divine masculine, divine feminine is integrating. And our magic is coming online. Doesn't mean you have to be a Wiccan. You could still be a Christian, perform magic. There were even Christian mystics. There's even mystics in Islam. It's called Sufism. There's definitely mysticism in Judaism. That's what the Holy Kabbalah is all about. So when I come back, we are going to go over different types of magic. I've decided to break it down into 5 categories, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff in each category, and there's no way I'm ever going to be able to cover all the types of magic because there's so many. So many. You know, if there's 100 people, there's 100 types of magic, and if there's 3,000 people, there's going to be 3,000 kinds of magic. It's because we're all individuals and we mix and match as we will. So I have broken them down to earth, air, fire, water, and heart or spirit magic. So when we come back, I'm going to just go over the list I created for tonight's show and give you an idea of what things you could be doing or how you could be implementing magic into your life in every day. You know, it doesn't have to be what you imagine. It's not from movies or TV. This is real. And everyone could use a little bit of magic, right? So I'll be right back and we will go over the various types of magic. Hey you, have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. Well, no conversation about magic would be complete without bringing up Aleister Crowley. He's kind of a scary dude for a lot of people. For me as well. He's got a undercurrent or underbelly of energy there that was attached to him when he was alive that just carried throughout, even within his name. A lot of mystery, a lot of darkness there. But he also had a lot of light. And his definition of magic is still a great one. He said that magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. So that's pretty much what it is. Trying to bring about change by the focused concentration use of your will. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So I've broken down magic into 5 categories: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, or heart. But I'm not 100% satisfied with this because there's so many kinds of magic and there's so many paths to follow. In fact, if you follow them all, you're called an omni-witch. If you do everything. It'll take you a lot of years to be able to do everything. That's an omni-witch. And if you just take from 2 or 3 paths or 30 paths, or any number of paths that you wish, but not all of them, then you're an eclectic witch. And if you are coming from a family line, a long lineage of witchcraft, and you follow the witchcraft and maybe have a book of shadows that your family has kept a hold of for hundreds of years or hundreds of generations, then you are a hereditary witch. But that still doesn't explain what kind of magic you practice, because even in hereditary witching families, you're always going to have the person who works with the potions. You're always going to have the person who is the diviner or the oracle of the family. You're always going to have the one who has a kinship connection with animals. And you're going to have the one that cooks and uses kitchen magic. The kitchen witches. So I'm going to attempt to define the types of magic as I see it right now. And I'm going to add as many as I can. I don't know. I'm just going to go over just some basic ways you can incorporate magic in your life and give you some ideas. Spark your creativity and imagination, as it were. And you don't have to practice magic after listening to this, obviously. It's all a personal choice. It's not going to harm you to know the information. I will mention a couple things that are left hand or dark path, but I'm not going to explain how to do any of it. A, I don't know how. B, I don't want to know how. And C, it's just not right for this format. Even if I did know how and want to talk about it. But I'm going to bring it up just as an example. All right. I'm going to talk to you about earth magic first. Earthy magic can include all kinds of things. One of which is the kitchen witchcraft, where you will, not only cook a meal for yourself or your family or friends, but also put magic into it. So I've done this for years by just blessing everything I cook. asking God and or goddess to bless the food with love and light and allow it to be for the highest good of everybody who will partake of it. Allow it to bring harmony and peace among my family. That kind of thing. You can use consecrated salt, because salt, as you know, is a crystal. You can, bless it first and then just use that to cook. And then when you run out of salt, you go buy more and then you consecrate that new salt. You can grow your herbs in a magical way and use magical herbs to cook. You can use the herbs for their flavor, but also their magical properties. Say you want to bring a little bit of money in, you just bring in, make Italian food. Basil is very good for that. Rosemary is good for clearing and cleansing your spirit. For example. Hearth magic or cottage magic is, I think, under the earth magic category. And cottage magic is when you pretty much create a magical environment throughout your living space. A cottage witch would be somebody typically who lives kind of away from the city, maybe out in the countryside, or, maybe near a little creek, or, possibly a body of water, or has a pond, even a bird bath in front. Someone who wants to make their home a magical place filled with love and peace and harmony and joy. So all who enter there will feel a little bit better. By the time they leave, they'll feel maybe healed. Under earth magic category, you find people who would want to work with animals, having a familiar. Although other people in other categories would also have a familiar. It's a big mix and match. There's nothing right or wrong when it comes to magic. Magic just simply is. You could work with tame and domesticated animals, especially if you understand that all animals still are sovereign beings in their own right, and you are their keeper and you're loving them and taking care of them, but by no means ever believe that you are ruling over them. It's how you get bit and scratched. And it's how magic backfires. So don't ever use magic for your own personal power and gain over others, including animals, especially including animals and nature spirits. I've seen firsthand the damage that a nature spirit can do. It is not a pretty sight. So if you want to work with wild animals, they're naturally going to come to you. You can't just decide you're going to and then none of the animals are attracted to you. It's got to be a natural affinity from both ends. You have your basic tree magic. A lot of people use tree magic. People that are druids, for example, and they work with the druidic runes and the trees. It's very slow magic. It can be. But with tree magic, I suppose you could have 20 different kinds of trees on your property and 20 different kinds of wands at your disposal. Every wand would mean something different, would be used for a different magical purpose, if that was where you were so inclined to go. Meditating under a tree. The Buddha meditating under a Bodhi tree, that could in a way be considered tree magic. Sitting under that tree brought him enlightenment. Maybe it was a tree spirit that influenced him. Maybe he wasn't even aware of it. Not saying that definitely happened. I'm just saying it's a possibility. There are various forms of magic, including flower magic, herbal magic, even crystal magic and natural rock magic. There could be a specific type of magic in accordance to, so like if you do tree magic, maybe you work only with oak trees. And if you work only with oak trees, then you would also be doing acorn magic. Acorns can be used as generators of potential or a form of protection. And anything can be used in conjunction with candles or oils or incense or sigils or runes. A rune is an ancient type of language, such as the Nordic runes or the Celtic runes. And a sigil could be a combination of runes combined. But know your runes, because you could get some weird results, as I heard some people talking about on YouTube this week. I do a lot of research on this stuff. It's interesting to me. So a sigil could be something you created yourself. Could be a magical symbol that you made, combining other things that you found or things that came completely from you. And you can use oils, sigils, and runes with any kind of magic. Mix and match. I always say, hey, why not? Whatever brings you the highest octave of joy, whatever brings you the highest form of spirituality and happiness, that brings you to closer to the fifth dimension. I think that's what's important. So next we have air magic. People that have air magic have a special connection to the sylphs and possibly the upper atmosphere dragons who control the weather, possibly. Air magic people could control the wind, bring up a light breeze when they needed it. Also, people who are engaging in air magic can possibly do augury with birds. You know, I've done augury. I've dabbled in this a little bit. I've asked God a question and said, please give me the answer with a bird flying across my path. I know if the bird is flying from behind me forward, it's yet to be seen. I know if it's flying directly at me and goes over my head behind me, that it's something I should leave in the past, or, you know, that's behind me. I know if the bird is flying to the right, across my vision is going to the right, the answer is yes. And I know that if it's flying to the opposite direction, if it's flying to the left, the answer is no. If you don't see a bird at all, the answer is weird. It's like the rune that you pull out of the bag. It has nothing on it. There's no rune. It's just blank. That's called the weird rune. It means you're not supposed to know. It's just too weird. Maybe that's not what it means. Maybe not the weird part, but it means that you're not supposed to know at this time. The answer is maybe. Maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know. Answer might be it's up to you. Or it's not, you know, it's eyes only or need to know basis. People that have air magic, they can divine. They work with oracles and magical decks of cards, like angel cards. A lot of times they will work with runes to tell the future. They'll see the future. They use clairvoyance a lot, oracles. And they work with the sylphs, you know. You can ask the sylphs instead of birds. You can ask the sylphs to bring you an answer. If the answer is no, let the air be still. If the answer is yes, allow the breeze to go across my face. And I'll know the answer is yes. I've had answers come to me in the form of a smell. You know, I feel a presence in the room, who is it? And I'll get like an orange blossom smell, and I know it's an angel. If I smell roses, I know that it's Brother Yeshua, Jesus. He always smells like red roses to me. Air magic can be, breath magic. You can put your will into something by breathing onto a thing with purpose and focused concentration. You breathe protection on your book of shadows, or you'll breathe the air of love onto a bouquet of flowers so that the love will be received and felt on many different levels to the person you're bringing it to. Controlling your breath can help with controlling the health of your body, regulating your temperature, possibly regulating the temperature of your room. A weird thing that I believe is left-hand path, the dark path magic that I did discover is whisper magic. I moved into a very strange neighborhood. I only lived there 6 months in the Bay Area, and while I was there, I heard a man standing right next to me, whispering my full name, my middle name, and everything in my ear, in my right ear. And even though it was in my right ear, it gave me the creeps. And then one time I heard someone in a field say my name out loud, but it was just someone's backyard and nobody was there. And I thought, well, maybe it's one of my guides messing with me, but why would they mess with me in the middle of the night to scare me? They wouldn't, and I didn't really put two and two together until later. But they did the same thing to my kids, and I think my roommates also had experienced that, where they were outside and someone said their name. And in that house above our house, in the clouds, very often were evil faces, devil faces, and skulls. So someone was messing with us using whisper magic. It was very, very freaky. But I did do a little bit of research, and you can do whisper magic for the right-hand path as well. Any magic can be used for good or evil purposes. So you can use whisper magic. Maybe you whisper, you look at someone's picture and you whisper words of healing and encouragement and protection and love. Or maybe whisper words of intelligence and creativity, or good memory if you want them to do well on a test. Maybe it's your kid. You want to do whisper magic for your kid, As long as you fill yourself with the white light and protect yourself, you're not going to go wrong with any kind of magic, as long as you use it for good, not for evil. So the next kind of magic I'm going to talk about is fire magic. Now, fire magic, this can possibly include kitchen witchery or cooking magic, especially if you're cooking over a fire, or if you're outside and you're having a barbecue, or you're cooking over a open flame, or one of those cob clay ovens, a clay oven. Those are really cool. I want to have one of those someday. But you can use fire magic in a way in which you're using fire to cook your food, and you're communing with the fire in a positive way. Fire represents the sun. A lot of people who do sun and solar magic are engaging in fire magic. There was an old movie, Drew Barrymore. She was doing fire magic in a left-hand pathway when she was starting fires with her eyes, fire starter, and she was causing things to catch on fire just to hurt people or get back at people, I guess. I didn't see that. I was a little kid when that came out. I wasn't allowed to watch it. So as an adult, never got back to it, It scared me a little too much. So let's see. Fire magic, you can talk to the spirit of fire. Spirits of fire are salamanders. You're working with the salamanders, always giving them love and thanks when they have served you well by, allowing your incense to, be incense, and your candles that you light on fire. There's a little living being there. It's dancing around and moving and casting shadows on your walls and entertaining you. You can use a flame of a candle to ask if there's a spirit in your midst. And the candle, if it leaps up to several inches tall, that might be a yes. If the answer is no, the flame might get shorter. I've done that one. Why not? I've tried a lot of this stuff. It's fun. It's interesting. But incense magic, candle magic, and remember what Nostradamus said, you can burn leaves and just tell someone you burned your dinner. If you don't want to burn incense, if you don't want to be found out, that's how he got away with it. He dabbled a little bit with fire magic. The genies, the jinn folk are made up of fire. So you can work with the jinn if you dare. I've worked with some good jinn. I've had some good jinn around me. So I haven't really ever encountered bad jinn, maybe once or twice. So if you are ever out in the desert and you see a storm come up and it's swirling around angrily and racing through the desert, that's called a Jan. It's a form of jinn who's a very angry spirit and they don't like humans. Avoid those guys, generally speaking. But I've seen little versions of that, even walking through the city in LA. There's a lot of Jans around, little baby jinns. They're really tiny, and the little teeny tiny dirt devils, that's what they are. So that can be a form of fire magic if you work with these. That also might be a form of chaos magic. I don't know. Combining chaos and fire magic, to me, maybe not a great idea. So, let's see. I have taken pictures of fire after asking it questions. And I have on my Elena Fox Starks YouTube channel from years ago, I had taken pictures of, and actually I think I took a video of people jumping over the fire. In Cuenca, that's a New Year's tradition. Go back to my very first podcast episode about the New Year's traditions of Cuenca. That's fire magic. Walking over hot coals, jumping over a flame. It's all fire magic. Purification by fire. Sitting in a sweat lodge. That's fire magic. Laying in the sun. That could be fire magic if you say the right thing or do the right thing or focus and concentrate in the right way. The next form of magic is water magic. A water witch might be someone who can find water in the ground using a divining rod. A lot of water witches only do that. They don't engage in other forms of magic, only that. And people hire them to go find water in their yard. It's possible that Wilhelm Reich, who discovered orgone energy, who created rain out of nowhere, where there had been a drought for years. That's water magic. Weather witchery. You can be a weather witch by being able to tell the weather like I do. I could tell the weather. someone recently pointed out that I've got the ability and power within me to control the weather. If I could feel the weather coming, I could tell you when and where and how long and how intense it's going to be. I get really excited about the weather. Like, boy, when it's thunder and lightning out and the floods are happening, I get all kinds of excited. Like, my body's aching, but I'm like, yeah, and I feel happy about it. Because I know that the spirits that create the storms are so happy, and I can feel their joy. Because they're getting to do their job, and they're like, yeah, we're doing a good job. It's raining, and it's thunder and lightning, and it's a little bit chaotic, and shaking people up out of their mundane lives. Shaking people up out of their mundane struggles or their muggles. Shaking up the muggles, as it were. If you are a weather witch, apparently you can control the weather if you can learn it. I don't know how yet, but I might. I have a friend who did, he might have been a weather witch. He never would say that he is. He never considered himself to be so. But he told me, don't worry, God knows that I don't like it to rain, and I've asked God that it never rain on me. And I've seen it absolutely be raining outside, and he's walking and he's dry. It doesn't rain on him. He is a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, praise and blessings be upon them. But I watched it. I traveled with him for weeks. And even though there were rainy days, it never rained on him. And I saw when he would say out loud, hey God, I'm going to go over and go fishing in an hour. Can you please have it cleared up in an hour for me by then? And always the heavens would part, and he would go fishing, and then he'd come back, and then it'd rain again. He engaged in other forms of magic, but it was Islamic magic, and he would read and recite verses from the Quran over water. And he would then drink the water, or he would have me drink the water when I was feeling sick one day. And I was healed within an hour. I had like a stomach ache, or a headache, or maybe both. That's water magic straight up. Praying over water, sending love and intention into water, putting a gemstone near water or in water like a crystal. By the way, don't ever, the green malachite, don't ever put that water. Deadly poison. Don't ever do a gem elixir with that. If you want a gem elixir, you can put it in a glass and then put a glass inside that glass and then fill the second glass up with water. But don't ever mix the stone malachite with water, by the way. I was shocked when I discovered that one. But, water magic, Dr. Masaru Emoto, what he did was water magic, was it not? Putting a word, writing down a word, and taping it to a bottle of water and then freezing it. And then watching the patterns in which the water formed when it froze. The crystalline forms with every word is different because words have ultimate power. He felt the energy and emotion of the word, wrote the word, and put the word in the emotion and energy into the water. And he did everything from hate or kill to love, peace. And then he put the water under a microscope and took pictures of it. And he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt our emotions affect water. And what is your body made up of? Yep, 75 to 80% water. So water magic can be very important for everybody to engage in. You can work with water spirits, the sprites. They're very sweet. Very, very sweet energy. Bath magic, you can put flowers in your bath or oils, salt, even crystals. You can work with different colors. I use food coloring sometimes. Just a couple drops of red will turn your bath water a very pale pink. Too much will be too crazy, so don't do that. It'll look too scary, so don't do that one. But I've done turquoise or green or blue bath, a purple bath for different magical purposes, and you can just use that as a visualization tool. Green is very healing. Green or pink would be heart healing. Yellow is just weird. I mean, some people do yellow baths, but for me, that's too close to something else. Ooh, that's for me a no, just a hard no. But orange, you could do orange. Orange is for health and vibrancy and to lift your mood. I mean, you could make your bath water orange and add some essential oil of grapefruit or citrus smell. And that would lift your mood and lift depression and foggy headedness. Which I wish I had right now because I'm feeling so dizzy right now still. Trying to still get through the show. The show must go on. A lot of witches that are water witches, engage in water magic, might live next to a body of water. And so that's where you get your sea witches who work with the sea and all the energies and forms of the sea. Whales, dolphins, or they might work with the freshwater animals, and they live, near a river. They're a river witch. They work with the Aruna, not the Aruna. Why did I say that? They work with the Naiad spirits. Now, a Naiad spirit is like a mermaid with wings. That's my favorite spirit. They're so adorable, Naiads. You also have lake witches. I'm sure you've all heard of the story of Camelot and King Arthur and the Lady of the Lake. A lot of lakes have an energy, a spirit attached. When I went to Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, there were all kinds of stories about her. Lake Atitlan, she's not someone who listens to anybody. If she feels like just making a storm in her water, with or without the help of the air or an actual storm, I've seen that lake just come up out of nowhere, just be crazy rough out of nowhere. One day she was crazy rough and she was in a very angry mood. And I got into a boat and I asked her to give me safe and easy passage if she could just give me a few minutes and I'd give her energy. And I sent her Reiki energy to the spirit. And I had safe passage for the 20-minute ride across the lake when I was going from one of the cities to the other. I lived on the lake for many months. Pretty crazy. Another time she was so angry she didn't care what I had to say about it. She just wanted to be in a tempest. And that was a very long boat ride. I thought for sure we were going to capsize. It's pretty crazy. Lake Atitlan is a very special spirit. I mean, she will grant you true love. She'll bring your true love to her. And if you give her love and you put your hands in the water, the legend says if you ask her heartfelt for true love, she'll bring it your way. Sometimes she'll bring you the love you need, and that might be a karmic relationship, like a soulmate. So you just got to be careful what you wish for, no matter what it is. But you could do water magic with lakes, rivers, streams, or ponds. In fact, I was just thinking about Raymond Grace for the past week, and I got an email from him today. And he has a DVD that he is using dowsing, possibly music, to clear and cleanse waterways. And so that's the energy. And there's a big water project among the American Dowsing Society. And the big project is to clear waterways, clear pollution out of all water, using the power of the pendulum and the divining rods. dowsing rods, L rods, whatever. And somebody had a pond. They moved into a property. They bought a property with a pond, and the pond was really like scummy and dirty. And there was some ducks there that were living in the pond. And so this woman played the DVD for the pond ducks and for the pond itself for an hour. And a couple hours afterwards, the pond was clear. The water, you could see to the bottom. And when she was unloading something out of her car, all the ducks were there waiting for her to thank her. They were aware that she had done something to fix the pond. Now, even though it might not have been her intention to do water magic, that's exactly what she did. With the help of Raymond Grace, and he is pure magic. He's an amazing man. I might try to have him on the show at some point. I've talked to him on the phone before, and I've read his book. Well, one of his books. I'm sure he has more now. But pretty interesting. Raymond Grace. He's a great guy. So the next form of magic I want to talk about is spirit magic. So, with water magic, I also wrote one more thing before we go into spirit magic. You can know the signs of, I don't know, if you have water magic or you want to work with water and you have an affinity towards it, you'll know the signs by looking at the clouds. The spirits of the water in the air will tell you. Like I mentioned, the clouds over my house in Richmond, California, was skulls and evil faces and little devils. It was so much so that my roommate had to frickin' move. He was so scared. He was like, I need to get the F out of here. This place is pure evil, man. I hate this neighborhood. And I'm like, well, I'm not far behind you. And a couple months later, I was out. I moved to Guatemala after that house. Yeah, I think I covered everything with water magic, but I did want to mention the cloud signs, because that's also a form of water magic. Working with the cloud spirits, the sylphs, and the dragons, and I think there might even be a third spirit I'm not remembering right now. All right, gain over to now. Spirit magic can be healing, like spiritual healing, such as Ho'oponopono or heart wall healing, or Reiki, or using an SE5 through the air, like a radionics. That might possibly be a form of spirit magic. Magical creatures that are unseen can be worked with using spirit magic, or maybe that is a form of spirit magic. Working with griffins and phoenixes and dragons. Although dragon magic is in of itself something completely different. And you can have a fire dragon, an earth dragon, air dragon, spirit dragon, water dragon. There's all kinds of dragons. And dragon magic is draconian magic. And you're working with the Dracos and the dragons. And it's not always to do with weather. You can use, the dragons are helpful as magical partners to help you in a lot of different things, as long as you don't try to control them, because again, that can backfire in really horrible ways. Don't do that. Don't ever try to put your power over any other creature, human or otherwise. Yeah, the magical creatures unseen. You can work with angels. Angel magic comes under the form of spirit magic. You can work with angels. The left-hand path, of course, would be like working with necromancy, raising the dead. Before you judge me about saying this, Jesus raised Lazarus, did he not? I mean, Jesus straight up performed magic left and frickin' right. You know? By the way, if turning water into wine ain't magic, I don't know what is. So, and he, by the way, had magic. Jesus did have magic. He was part of a magicking family. Jesus was a hereditary witch. I know that because he was related to King Solomon and King David. And you can go back and read the book of Solomon, not in the Bible, but the Key of Solomon, all about demon magic and angel magic. Oh, yes. Jesus had it in his family. He was a hereditary witch. So before you start judging witchcraft, you got to remember that. He walked upon the water, which, hello, water magic. Abramelin the mage, he walked upon water magic. Some people, sorcerers, have been known to fly through the air. That's air magic. But spirit magic can also be meditation. Growing in your spirit form, in your astral body, going through and doing astral magic in other realms. Being a hedge witch. I'm a hedge witch. I discovered today, I heard that today. I'm like, oh, I like that name, hedge witch. Does that mean, though, that I'm casting spells on bushes? They do that at Disneyland. They turn them into shapes, like elephants and dogs, squirrels. No, that's not what a hedge witch is. I'm just kidding. A hedge witch is a person who can walk between the worlds. It's being a spirit walker or a world walker. I'm a spirit walker. I guess that's hedge witchery as well, is another name for it. I speak to the dead. I'm a psychic medium. I've gone to heaven. I help people cross over Bardo. That was my show yesterday. I don't take them all the way across. I still just tell them they're dead and help them to the door. I have never gone over the threshold with them. Not yet. Not that I'm aware of. But that would be a form of spirit magic. Now, instant magic might be part of this. There's a book I cannot wait to read. I'm probably going to go buy it on Amazon. If I could get it as an instant download from my phone, I'm probably going to go buy it. I just found out today there's literally a book called Instant Magic. And it's just, you just say a quick spell and boom, whatever you want done is done instantly. Merlin does it all the time in the TV show Merlin. I'm like, oh my God, who doesn't want that kind of magic? And where did he get this ancient language? Is it a light language? What is he speaking? Is it Welsh? What is this? It's supposed to be this ancient language that he just somehow has in his blood, and he says it. Born with magic, and he'll say a word and boom. There's one scene where he gets in a boat and he says a couple words and he just starts shooting across the lake without paddling. I'm all, oh yeah, okay. There it is. It's magic for lazy witches. But instant magic, it's pretty cool. This idea. So I'm going to look into this book, see what it does, see what I can do with it. Kundalini magic might be considered spirit magic. Why not? Using your Kundalini to get something, or just using your spiritual power to raise your Kundalini, period. To have greater insight and spiritual awareness and grow in power and strength as a sovereign being of the light. Growing your acceptance of the fifth dimension as your reality. Working with auras and chakras, that could be a form of spirit magic as well. So there are other magics that I read about today that I thought were extremely interesting, some of which I only heard about today for the first time. Now, of course, I've heard about green witchcraft. A green witch is somebody who works with the spirits of a forest or of nature, or they work with an herbal garden. That would fall under earth magic. A hedge witch is also called an astral witch, by the way. I forgot to say that. You could be an energy witch, where it's all you do is work with energy. I work with energy all the time. I guess technically, now that I'm going through all this list, I'm going, well, maybe I am just an eclectic witch and I just do a whole bunch of things. I am by no means a omni witch, but I am definitely an eclectic one. A good one. I'm a good witch. Good eclectic witch. But practical witchcraft, using witchcraft for practical purposes. Protecting my home. Giving my dog health. Helping my kids do well on a test, or, what would be practical magic? Fortifying my food so that the vitamins and minerals will be utilized in my body, or, whoever's eating my food. Practical magic, which is a really fun movie, actually. There's also stitch witchery. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a stitch witch. Somebody who does like needlepoint, and they put their intention in every stitch. So that's pretty interesting, right? I mean, you could put that in the hem of a garment. You could stitch it into a pillow and have a needlepoint out on your bed. Does that give new meaning to a pillow that a wife would sew for her husband that says home is where the heart is? Is that a way of keeping him faithful? Whoa, just thought of that one. I've gone into many people's houses where that was a thing that the wife had needle pointed for their bedroom. Now I'm thinking stitch witchery. Who knows? Stitch witchery could take many forms. Sewing a patch into a backpack with a purpose and intent. You could put binding knots in it and do binding spells, right? Might just be, you could use stitch witchery on a backpack or a jacket so that it does not get stolen, or for protection of the wearer. Doesn't always have to be about controlling people. And by the way, don't ever try to control people. Again, that does backfire. I've heard a lot of stories about that. There's crystal witches who just work with crystals. Also, obviously, creature witchcraft is another one, working with all manner of creatures. Shadow workers. There's shadow workers that only work with the shadow side of things. They deal with the harder issues and help people to heal over the negative stuff. Obviously, there's spirit workers, same thing, Exorcist witchery, where you just going around doing exorcisms. In fact, the first exorcists were not the Catholic Church. This dates back before the Catholic Church. Getting rid of demons that try to possess people. That's a way that you could work with demons but still be of the light. Not go down the left-hand path, but you're dealing with things from that side. Chaos witchery, chaos magic is not good or bad. It depends on your intention again, and that could be it could be crazy. Chaos witchcraft has gained in popularity in recent years. I don't know. I don't like chaos. I'm a Virgo, but I have chaos in my life. My son is not a chaos witch, but he's a chaos heyoka. So sometimes things get really freaking chaotic, but then they heal way rapid, really fast. Sometimes chaos magic, I guess, can be used for positive, quick change, but you never know how it's going to turn out. That's what makes it chaotic. Some people use blood for witching, blood witchcraft. It's not terribly popular, but some people believe they're vampires that do that. So, there's sun witches. People work with the solar energy. Lunar witches, witches that work with the moon. There's star witches that work with stars in the sky. Some of them don't work with local stars. They work with stars and star seeds and aliens and extraterrestrials and all kinds of stuff from stars from other galaxies. That was new for me. I didn't know about that. I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't think of it as witchcraft, I think. Storm witchery, people who create storms for various reasons. Winter witches, some witches, just like in Frozen, was a story about a winter witch, somebody who her heart was broken and she created a whole winter wonderland, and she got her power from the snow and the ice that surrounded her. But when you got to know her, she was very warm in the middle of her heart. She just liked to stay a little cold. There are winter witches. There's even swamp or bog witches that work with the energy of the swamp and bog. There's desert witches who work with the energy of the desert, and they could create literally a desert storm where, the sand comes whipping up, a sandstorm. It might be caused by a witch, if not a Jan. There's urban witches. They grow, urban witches live in cities, and they can paint sigils or runes on the side of buildings to create change. I thought about doing some urban witchery by making orgonite and gridding all of the city of Detroit, and then connecting my energy to those grids that I created in order to create positive social change. That's something I thought about doing in Detroit. I didn't get quite to it. I still might do it, who knows? There's people who use art, music, dance, theater, even pop culture or technology for their form of witchcraft. You can use practically anything in a magical way to bring about a positive change. There's people that work with the spirits of vampires and werewolves. I don't know. I don't get into that one. That's too weird for me, but it's possible, There's also traditional witches who may or may not be Wiccans. They may or may not work with a coven. Ceremonial, ritualistic, they do everything according to the books. I think someone who would follow the Raymond Buckland original book that he wrote about magic, that would be someone who'd fall under the ceremonial, traditional, ritualistic witch. Solitary witches. I tend to be solitary. I do everything on my own. General. I've worked with other people at times. I've worked with animals at times, or spirits, but usually I'm by myself doing the magic. And my magic is only about protecting my kids, protecting myself, protecting my things, just normal stuff. Bringing love into my life, healing from a broken heart, just random things like that. Let's see. And then there's secular witchcraft, which I think most witchcraft falls under the secular witchcraft, where they don't follow a religious tradition in regards to their magic. So I don't know. I hope I taught you guys some things or brought up some things you didn't know about. I don't know. The whole thing to me has been very, very interesting because lately it's unfolded in a way in which I now want to get more into this and do more research and study. And I mean, after I've learned that I have hereditary witchcraft in my family, my grandfather came to me and said, from my Cherokee side, I've got magic. So there's tribal magic. There's ancestral magic. From a past life, I have bear magic. I haven't even told you about medicine claw bear woman. Medicine bear claw woman. Yeah. Bear claw medicine woman. I don't know. I have to get into that. I'll get into that another day. Basically, I was slapped by a bear and he gave me bear medicine. Where I should have been dead, but I lived, and now I have that bear medicine. Even now with me, I have that bear energy. I think that your soul can pick up various forms of magic throughout its journey in many lifetimes, not just one, and now you gather up the magic from all of that, and when you learn to tap into it, I think that's when the magic really comes true. But that's all I got to say about that, guys. I love you very much, and now I am signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.